let's put it this way. When you look at these players, no matter how bad they might be, no matter how much of a bust some of them are, no matter how washed some of them are, ask yourself this one question. Are they better than Furkan Korkmaz? Are they better than Furkan Korkmaz and Danny Green with a torn ACL, MCL? Ask yourself that question. Process in Philly, what's up, man? All right, so the first player is Josh Jackson. First player on the list that the Sixers since had on the article was Josh Jackson. And how do you guys feel about Josh Jackson? Let me know in the chat. Magic Trick says that's who I want. Josh Jackson's interesting, man. He is quite possibly the biggest NBA bust in recent memory. I remember the tank for Josh Jackson years where the Sixers were losing, and I believe it was Andrew Wiggins and Josh Jackson in the same draft. Is that true? No, that was 2014. Josh Jackson was 2017. I don't remember. But I remember there was a tank for Josh Jackson going around. He was the number one player in the country coming out of high school. He did have a couple of decent years with the Phoenix Suns and a decent year with the Detroit Pistons. But then he kind of completely fell off and didn't really make any progress. You didn't really see any development. You didn't really see any, growth to his game, his skill set, anything like that. But again, you got to ask yourself, is Josh Jackson better than Furkan Korkmaz? That's what you ask yourself. He's 25 years old. He was a stud in high school, 1 year of college at Kansas. Definitely has a funky-looking jump shot, which I'm not a big fan of. He already played on 4 different NBA teams. The Phoenix Suns, the Memphis Grizzlies, the Detroit Pistons, and the Sacramento Kings. I don't know if anybody even remembers him playing for the Kings this past season. He led his high school team, Consortium Prep School, to their first state championship as a sophomore, averaging 28 points and 15 rebounds. He played in the McDonald's All-American game in 2016 and was co-MVP with Frank Jackson. He averaged 31 points per game as a junior in high school. He was ranked the number 1 player in the country. 247sports.com had him ranked as the number 1 player in the country with a 102 rating, the highest rating ever given on that website. Wow. Why didn't he work out in the NBA, man? Why didn't Josh Jackson work out in the NBA? Well, he's still in the NBA. He can still contribute. Just never, he was supposed to be a star. Look, during his only season at Kansas, Jackson showcased his all-around play between scoring, rebounding, playmaking, and defending. Although he started as a power forward for the Jayhawks, not his normal position, both small forward or shooting guard, he still recorded 16 points per game, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 1.7 steals, and 1.1 blocks per game with the team in his freshman season. So he had a really good college season also. He was the 4th pick in the 2017 NBA draft. His work ethic has been questioned plenty of times. He has also been fined for his behavior in the NBA before, including $35,000 as a rookie for gesturing an inappropriate gesture to the LA Clippers crowd. But is he better than Furkan Korkmaz? He averaged 13 points per game as a rookie in Phoenix, 13 points per game with Detroit. Then he kind of fell off. But he could be a good bench piece for the Sixers. He has size. He has athleticism. He's 25 years old. Did he just have a few bad runs with bad teams? Could he come off the bench in Philly and rejuvenate his career? He's athletic. He can drive. He can finish at the rim. I wouldn't mind a Josh Jackson signing. When you really look at this Sixers roster, you know what I mean? How could you say no to a player like that? And I would assume he'd be pretty cheap because his last couple years were not good. And, he's probably flirting with, like, G League activity at this point after not really getting any run with the Sacramento Kings, who, good God, they were awful. So, I'll say yes to Josh Jackson. What you guys think in the chat, man? So you'd rather have Terrence Ross. Well, this is a list of 50 players. I'm gonna get there at some point. I'm just picking out players at the top of the list that I think could contribute, could be decent for the Sixers as a free agent signing off the bench. And we're looking at which players are better than Furkan Korkmaz. San 8 says G League, so why would we want him? San 8, look yourself in the mirror. Say these words with me. Is Josh Jackson better than Furkan Korkmaz? That's all you have to ask yourself here when you're talking about these free agents. They're not expensive. They're not stars. Are they better than Furkan Korkmaz? I should have titled this video, Are These Players Better Than Furkan Korkmaz? You said negative? I don't know about that one. Next on the list was Frank Kaminsky. Next on the Sixers sense list, their 50-50 free agent players was Frank Kaminsky. That's a big no for me. Frank Kaminsky is a big waste of space. I remember that team that they took down the best Kentucky team of all time that had Karl Anthony Towns, Devin Booker, Willie Cauley-Stein. They were undefeated throughout the whole college season, and Frank Kaminsky, Sam Decker, of Wisconsin, took them down. And that's why that dude was so overhyped in the NBA draft, and they thought he would be a good NBA player, but Frank Kaminsky, no thanks, bro. Not a good enough three-point shooter. Doesn't have any real offensive game for his size and can't defend a fly. So I'm out on Frank Kaminsky. Number 48 was DeAndre Bembry. Tore his ACL last season. I guess the Sixers sense just needed a player to put there. You're not going to sign a free agent with a torn ACL, are you? At that point, you might as well just wait for Danny Green to come back, right? You guys throwing out names in the chat. It's a list of 50 players. I'm sure all the names you're throwing in the chat are on the list. Number 47